Okay, those are some highlights from the informational forum that was held at WestCon last Thursday on the implementation of border tolls in our area. So again, that was highlights. It's about 20 minutes worth of video that you saw right there. The entire forum was actually 2 hours long, and I have all that video up on the website. So if you would like to see the forum in its entirety, if you're a political junkie like me, you can go to www.hatcityblog.com tomorrow, and I'll have the entire forum up there, as well as contact information for members of the Transportation Committee, so you can voice your opinion on border tolls. Myself, as a person who lived in Danbury for a very long time and for several years lived on I-84, can tell you for a fact that I think border tolls is a very, very bad idea. You have Route 6, you have Route 123, 121, Route 202, Route 22. There's many ways for people to avoid the toll bridge there, and what that will do, in essence, is cause more traffic congestion in that area, which is going to be a bad thing. If you know about Mill Plain Road, go down there between the hours of 4:30 and 7:30. You'll see the traffic that's there right now. So it will be a bad thing for us in general. So again, contact information for members of the Transportation Committee will be available on my website, as well as the forum in its entirety. So coming up next, we're going to have the weather and news, and then after that, we have the man who wants to give Mark Boughton his pink slip. So we'll be right back after these quick news break.
Now covering Danbury, Bethel, and Ridgefield local news with Austin Greenfield and weather with meteorologist Jared Root, right here on Comcast Channel 23.
And welcome to Ideas at Work and Beyond. We'll continue with that in a minute. First, this Comcast Cable Channel 23 news update. I'm Jim Masters, joined by sportscaster Austin Greenfield. And in a moment or so, Jared Root's going to have the latest 5-day forecast and a preview of our weekend weather. But first, from the Danbury Times, catching a ride to see Derek Jeter and other pinstripe stars should get a lot easier next month, after Metro-North Railroad has put the finishing touches on the station linking Connecticut riders directly to Yankee Stadium. Now, Metro-North and city officials gathered Wednesday at the nearly complete Yankee 153rd Street station. That is near the new stadium. And they did that to announce that beginning operations on Saturday, May 23rd, the Yankees will play the day game against the defending world champion Philadelphia Phillies. The Yankees will be playing their first official home game April 16th. A 450-foot pedestrian walkway linking 153rd Street to the stadium will be open for this weekend's exhibition games, according to officials. Now, Metro-North officials say they expect about 10,000 fans to use the station on game days. Railroad President Howard Permit says this is a great moment for Yankee fans. Fans will no longer have to worry about traffic or parking. I think it'll be a home run for the residents of Westchester and of Connecticut. And Metro-North broke ground on the $91 million station back in July of 2007. Permit also adds that finishing the project 2 years' time was very aggressive for our schedule, but we are extremely pleased at everyone who worked so hard to bring it on time and on budget. That is great news for folks here in the Danbury area, isn't it, Austin?
Yeah, it is.
Train in and out real quick, make it smooth.
But that might be great, to getting that train in and out, but
it's still going to cost a fortune.
It's going to cost a fortune, and actually, the owner is saying that the tickets might be a little bit overpriced, and that's the story I'm going to get into right now.
Okay, take it away.
And that's right, tickets might be overpriced, says the owner of the Yankees, Hal Steinbrenner. Sitting in New York, in New Yankee Stadium on the first day, fans came to the $1.5 billion ballpark. General partner Hal Steinbrenner admitted some tickets might be overpriced given the recession. The Yankees set prices for premium Legend Suite seats 13 months ago and sold them for $500 to $2,500 as part of season tickets. According to the team's website, some of the seats remain available for individual games when the prices go up to $2,625. I think if anybody in any business had known where this economy was going to go, they would have done things differently, Steinbrenner said Thursday. Look, there's no doubt small amounts of our tickets might be overpriced. You know, we're continuing to look into that, he said. But the bottom line is the vast majority of them, it seems like they're right on because we've sold 35,000 full season equivalents, and a lot of the tickets have, you know, sold quite well, and, well, despite what's out there all the time about the time, and there's thousands of very affordable seating, and, you know, the public is excited as we are, I think. Legend Suite seats include food and soft drinks in 3 exclusive restaurants, but not alcohol. The ballpark was open for a workout Thursday, a day before the Yankees host the Chicago Cubs in an exhibition game. The team marketing report released its annual survey Thursday and said the average price of a Yankees home ticket was a Major League high $72.97, a 76.3% increase from last year's $41.40. The Boston Red Sox, who had been first for 13 consecutive years, were next at $50.24, following a 0.3% rise. The Cubs were third at $47.75 after a 10% hike, followed by the New York Mets, who rose 8.6% to $36.99 for their first season at Citi Field. The Arizona Diamondbacks had a Major League low average for the third consecutive year at $14.31, with the Pittsburgh Pirates at $15.39, Atlanta Braves at $17.05, and AL champion Tampa Bay Rays at $18.35. The Major League average of $26.64 was up 5% from $25.37, less than half of last year's 10.1% hike. So, Jim, even though these ticket prices are what they are for Yankees fans, I don't think these tickets are worth a third-place team to spend all that money.
That's right. It's still going to cost a fortune. I mean, the train is going to get you there quick, but it's still going to be a lot of money.
And they're a third-place team, so, you know.
We'll have to see what happens. Thanks, Austin. Appreciate that.
Welcome.
Little crazy weather. It is April officially here in the Danbury area. Take us through our forecast of the weekend.
Yeah, we had we were sandwiched in between some clouds this morning and clouds now, but in between there we had some sunshine, and when that sunshine came out this morning, you felt those spring-like temperatures
Absolutely.
today, right?
It was a nice day.
Yeah, we got up to 60 degrees. Let's take a look at our weather almanac for today. We had a high temperature of 63 degrees, a low temperature of 39 degrees. Very chilly start early this morning, but we rebounded nicely today. And no precipitation, but that's going to change as we go into tomorrow and into this weekend, unfortunately. So our weather headlines, we're dry for the overnight hours, but as we go towards morning, very early morning, we'll start to see that rain start to work its way in. But unfortunately, tomorrow is going to be a soggy day, a soggy end to the week and into the weekend. And the half of the weekend looks great, but the other half does not. I'll tell you which is which in the 5-day forecast. So for tonight, we'll have clouds will continue to turn even more cloudy as the night goes on. Some fog will start to develop, but showers start to work its way in towards the morning hours. Low temperatures in the upper 40s, 48 Bethel, 48 Danbury, and 47 in Ridgefield. Our Friday forecast, we have rain arriving early in the morning, if it hasn't done so already, becoming steady and heavy as the day goes on, breezy as well. High temperatures only in the lower 50, 53 degrees across the board from Bethel, Danbury, and Ridgefield, and those winds northeast at 10 to 20 miles per hour. So the umbrella is not going to really help you at all tomorrow. Definitely have that poncho or raincoat handy if you're heading outside. Here's your 5-day forecast. Saturday, we look like we will start off with a few showers around early in the morning, but we'll start to clear it out as we go on through the day, and our skies will start to clear out as well. turning windy though, high temperature of 54 degrees. Sunday looks like a great day, definitely a great day to get outside, enjoy your spring activities. High temperature of 61 degrees under mostly sunny skies. But unfortunately, more rain comes in for Monday and even into early Tuesday. Cooler temperatures with highs of 47 Monday and 48 degrees Tuesday, Jim. So we're going to go
Up
another
and down.
season.
It's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, that's spring weather for you, you know.
That's April in New England. Well, that's our report. Thanks for joining us here on Comcast Cable Channel 23. Ideas at Work and Beyond will continue. For Austin Greenfield on sports and Jared Root on weather, I'm Jim Masters. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
And welcome back to Ideas and Work and Beyond. Last segment of the show here. This is the campaign season for municipal races here in Connecticut. And here in Danbury, we have a candidate right now who's seeking the Democratic nomination to run against Mayor Boughton. And it's featured right here in Tribuna magazine. So without further ado, I want to introduce everybody to the man who wants to give Mark Boughton his pink slip, Gary Goncalves. How are you today?
Very well, Al. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Ain't no problem at all. So let's get right into it because I don't want to waste any time. There's a lot of questions I want to ask you. So let's just start a little bit by briefly talking about your background.
Sure, Al. Obviously, I'm Danbury born and raised. I attended public schools, and let me just say that you know, I came from a middle-class, blue-collar background, and our buzzwords at home were "do it right" and "do it now."
Okay.
So very helpful to me in my career. I am the father of 3 children, ages 24, 21, and 18. I've worked for the same company for General Reinsurance Corporation in Stamford, Connecticut, where I currently am a Vice President of Global Finance. And General Re is a premier insurance company in this country and in the world. We're a leader in many aspects, and it's been a pleasure to spend pretty much my entire career with them. I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Bridgeport, and I've got an associate's degree from Naugatuck Valley Community College, and that's in business administration.
Now, you say you've been working 30 years for General Re. That's a pretty long time to be for one company here.
Well, General Re is a company that's actually in the Berkshire Hathaway Group. It was bought by Warren Buffett in the 90s.
Right.
And basically, we've got a lot of people at General Re who've been there a number of years. And Al, I should say that I started there actually back in 1980 as a junior programmer. I had just come out of programming school, and you know, I've progressed through the years steadily up the ranks, and currently hold the title, as I mentioned, of Vice President.
All right. Well, I met you for the first time officially back on March the 9th, I think it was. You're down at the Democratic Town Committee meeting. I did a little video footage of you there, and I was pretty impressed by what you had to say. But for the public, because this is really the first time that you've been on television since you announced your intentions to run for mayor, why don't you tell me a little bit why you want to run for this spot?
Well, Al, I think I'm running for a few reasons. I mean, number one, I am myself a taxpayer and citizen who grew up in this town, and quite honestly, I'm concerned about the direction of this city under the current administration. And I think, from what I'm hearing and from what people are telling me, I think the people in Danbury are tired. They're tired of tax increases. They're tired of spending money through bond referendums, which really, you know, which really burdens our taxpayers into the future. And again, I might add, without a discernible vision for the future. I think they're concerned about the quality of life in town, and I think that education within town, I mean, we've got a great school system and a great bunch of teachers, but I think there's a lot of concern about, you know, potential downsizing in that area. And again, with a global economy, I don't think we can, you know, minimize, you know, what education means to our children growing up, because, of course, everyone realizes that in this global economy, you know, for the first time in our nation's history, our children are competing for jobs in this country with children from countries such as India, China, Russia, Poland, and I've had the occasion to visit these countries, and I can tell you that those kids are well-schooled and very bright.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you this is Danbury is very multicultural, and we have a lot of different cultures here in this area. And I, as a father who's going to have a child pretty soon going through the school system, and the public school system, that is, I want to make sure that we have the best education available for our students, because for our kids, because they're the future, and without a good school system, we have problems. Let's just go over some of the topics you just brought up real quick. Let's talk first about taxes, because it's on a lot of people's minds right now. And we have a budget that's going to be presented by the mayor, I think, next week. So I'm sure taxes and bond referendums and increasing city fees are going to be on a lot of people's minds.
Well, I believe it is, and I think under this administration there's been tax increases every year. People realize that we've floated a few very large bond referendums, and quite honestly, I mean, in my opinion, and I think in the opinion of many other citizens, spending, $40 million on a police station that looks like a Victorian mansion might be a little bit of overkill. And I think also people are very concerned about the steady increase in city fees over this administration's tenure, and I think it's, I think people are really looking for a change in direction of this city, a change in leadership. I think they're looking for, a sense of pride restored back to our community, and I think really to reunite our community as a whole and its different constituencies.
Again, I think with the new budget that's going to be presented, that's going to be on a lot of people's concerns. I do recall last year that there was a bit of controversy when the mayor presented five $500,000 bonds, which was done without the approval of the people through a referendum. It's a little different than what was done by, I think, basically all the other mayors in the past. And I guess people are just getting a little concerned over the significant amount of bonding that's been done under this present administration. Yeah. But another thing I wanted to tackle, because it's another big pet peeve of mine, in fact it was one of the biggest pet peeves, because we talked about traffic congestion and the border tolls in our first segment, and that focuses a little bit on the quality of life in the area. I just want to find your opinions on where do you see problems or difficulties in terms of quality of life, traffic congestion, irresponsible development, the downtown area. Why don't you just give me a...
Well, Al, I think, I want to go back to what you mentioned first. I think, personally, I'm against tolls on our highways. I think our highways are congested enough. I don't like the fact that we are a border town with New York State, and by putting the tolls there, again, increase congestion and also, pollutants into the air. I mean, let's face it. I mean, people who are sitting at those tolls waiting, they're polluting the air as they wait, and I don't think it's worth the money that we may make on it.
Well, like I was telling the people earlier that I think I was telling you earlier about this also, is that Interstate 84 hasn't been around for that long. I mean, it was really established in the late 60s, early 70s, and before that you had Route 6 and Route 202 and Route 35, Route 123. A lot of people still take those old roads, and you can ask any person who lives on Mill Plain Road right now about traffic congestion during those peak hours. And now you have a state that wants to put border tolls. I wish they would put more emphasis on fixing Mill Plain Road and expanding that versus putting more tolls on our roads.
You raise a good point, and again, I think one of my visions would be east to west and north to south traffic corridors through the city. 4 lanes extending from, again, Seeger Street all the way out to, Brewster, and certainly that has been talked about in the past. I know that the state actually approved that many years ago, and nothing's been done.
I think it was back during the late 90s.
I believe so.
That, yeah.
And also, I think we need very definitely a north-south corridor, from the Bethel line all the way through North Street out to Route 37. So I would be a big proponent of that. I think you mentioned also the downtown. I think the downtown is being neglected, Al. I think there are certain things that are in states of disrepair. I believe if you took a walking tour downtown, we have a lot of empty storefronts, and that's certainly not good for bringing back a vibrant city. I think the fact that we're going without right now an economic development director is really hurting us big time, and I think that's one of the things that needs to be corrected. Should I be fortunate enough to win election. And again, I think you mentioned also use of land. I mean, to me, the carbide land, instead of putting in homes that people couldn't afford, I think we would have been better served to direct some new business into the city, which again, increases the tax coffers. So, and also, I got to just say for a second here that I disagreed with the current administration when they, for the first time in the city's history, gave tax breaks for residential property to BRT on a couple different sites, and only to turn around and have BRT not use those, at least one of those sites, for the stated intention that they, originally
I think
were
if
under.
we're talking about the BRT place on Crosby Street,
Exactly.
I think they were supposed to use that for young adults, and they turned out using it for a basically, in essence, a college dormitory.
Yeah, when it comes right down to it, yes.
Yeah, and they're doing that on our dime.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that's been one of my pet peeves for quite a while.
And for 7 years, by the way, without taxes.
Yeah. So we talked about taxes, we talked about quality of life, and you want to talk about education one more time and just touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think what I mentioned before, I think, we've got to... We don't get the credit in Danbury for the school system that we have.
Yeah.
I think we've got a tremendous school system with a tremendous bunch of teachers. I was sorry to see that, and I understand for budget reasons, we may have had to offer people early retirement packages, but in doing so, again, when you offer early retirement, you cannot control who accepts the packages and who can't, and who don't, and you lose people that you're ill afford to lose. And I think, again, you mentioned the budget upcoming, and people are very concerned about teacher position eliminations. I don't care what you call it, layoffs. I don't think we can afford to take educators out of our classrooms.
Yeah, I went to a couple of forums. One at the King Street School. I think another one was over. I think it was Stadley Ruff. I can't recall off the top of my head, but I tell you. A lot of parents, a lot of young adults worry about teachers being either moved from one school to the other or just losing them altogether. When it comes to education, parents really take that very seriously.
It's a concern, and as I mentioned before, I mean, I've had occasion through General Reinsurance to travel really the world, and I've been to India and I've been to Poland, and those are two large countries that outsource today. And again, China is looming out there as potentially the largest outsourcer at some point. And again, we're outsourcing. We started with manufacturing, now we're starting to outsource, skill jobs, and soon there won't be anything left in this country but innovation. So I think we've got to be very careful about our future in the education world, and I think that's where the money needs to be spent in the future, and we need to be more creative as to how to retain our better teachers and develop programs that are consistent with the programs that are ongoing with the rest of the world.
All right. Well, tell me a little bit about how your campaign is running so far. You've been out there, you've been knocking on doors, shaking hands, kissing babies, and
we've been shaking a lot of hands. I think the citizens of Danbury are going to be very pleased about the next 2 months in our campaign. I think there's going to be a lot of campaign messages and themes coming out. I think they'll be perhaps unique in how they're delivered and how they're reinforced over the next few months. I've been taking a lot of time to gather information from people outside of the city. For instance, I had a great sit-down with Mayor Dan Malloy in Stamford. As I worked down there, I took the opportunity to visit with him last week. We had a great talk, and again, the cities like Stamford and Hartford and others, Bridgeport, New Haven, they have similar problems to Danbury. They're a little bit on a larger scale, but I mean the problems are very similar. We'll be speaking to Chris Murphy. I've spoken to Susan Beisowitz. Again, both she and Dan are, probably going to be candidates for governor. And we plan to get out to other cities as well and talk to them about their problems and how they've handled some of their issues and how they're keeping their budgets intact going forward. But it seems to me that there's a lot of positive enthusiasm in town. Everybody I speak to believes it's really time for a change, a new sense of direction, a vision for the future, and I'm only too pleased to step up into this arena at this time. I believe with my corporate background and knowing the city as well as I do and a knowledge of the issues, I think I'm well positioned to lead this city into the future and give it restore its pride and its sense of unity.
Well, all right. Well, look, thank you very much for coming on tonight.
My pleasure.
I do appreciate it. I'm sure we'll see a lot more of you in the future. I'm sure I'll see you a lot more on the campaign trail and also online as well. So that's it for tonight. I'd like to thank Gary for coming on. I'd like to thank also the viewers who were able to see the footage from the informational forum on border tolls. If you want any more information, once again, you can go to my website, www.hatcityblog.com, and you can learn where to contact members of the Transportation Committee and voice your opinion because, like Gary and I said, border tolls, it could be a pretty bad situation for a lot of people here in Danbury, especially for the people who live on the Mill Plain Road area.
And dangerous.
And dangerous, yeah, absolutely. So again, thank you very much for coming on tonight. Thank you very much for listening to me babble here. Marty will be on next week. I'm hoping he'll be okay tonight. I know he's doing a lot of the Board of Finance stuff in Ridgefield. I hope he's not causing too much of a firestorm, but he will be here next week. And until then, thank you very much for watching, and you take care.
Thank you, Ralph.